Welcome everybody to the OST, the Opinionated Sports Talk Show with your boy Brian. Debate, dispute, controversy. How's everybody doing on this Tuesday? We got a lot going on. We got some NBA playoffs going on. Let me turn my volume down on my ears. It's really loud here. So I just want to say what's going on. How's everybody? Tweet at me at your boy Brian25. That's my new Twitter handle. Changed everything. Like you see, I got a new show going on here, new logo, doing everything new. So we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, which is happening now. And then we're going to talk about the NFL draft, which is in a couple days, which it's one of my favorite times of the year. The NBA draft is not as exciting as the NFL draft, I should say, but the NFL draft is a couple days away, and I'm feeling good. I like where my team is sitting. I like what they're going to do. We got a lot of stuff going on. So let's start with some, it seems like, it just seems like people, when they hate someone, they seem to hate somebody. They make excuses why they hate them. If you don't like somebody, no matter what that person does, no matter what they do, how they present themselves, if they're polite, if they're not polite, whatever, you just tend to say, if you don't like someone, you're like, oh, that Brian, man, look at him wearing that black shirt all the time. He has no color flavor, or I don't like the sound of his voice. There's always something when you don't like someone. There's always something that you don't like. You'll make excuses why you don't like that person, and when you say that, and to yourself, it's a legitimate reason. You're justifying. You're like, well, I don't like him because I don't like Brian because he wears black shirts on the show. I don't like Colin Kaepernick because he kneeled down. I don't like LeBron James because he lost in championships. And to me, that is the most absurd thing to do. You're passing judgment. I understand that people don't like people, and that's 100% fine. There's players that I really don't care about, but I give them where credit is due. Like, I'll get more into the Russell Westbrook theory that I have, but I just feel like everything that the guy does is he's so good, he's so great, and everything LeBron does is so negative. It's like, and one thing that Michael Jordan does, or did, I should say, he's worshipped. He gets passes. Like, oh, well, he can do that. Oh, well, the league was different back then, or they don't have hand checking anymore, or they don't have players like they have back. Just a bunch of hoopla excuses for Jordan fans to say why they hate LeBron James. Instead of looking at the numbers, instead of realizing that this is a team sport and a game sport, and it takes more than one player to beat a team, and they just say these things like, well, I don't like him because he lost finals. Oh, I like Jordan because he never lost finals. Well, and then LeBron James is struggling this series. The Cavs are actually struggling this series. Where are my notes here? They tied in the series 2-2 against Indiana. They haven't been playing really good. And let me just say this. If LeBron gets to the finals, let me just say this is the worst team that will go to the finals. LeBron James is the only player on this team that is good. All these other players, Kevin Love's a decent, good player. They lost their youthfulness, they lost their speed, and they lost their leader when they lost Kyrie Irving. So I just feel like, let's put this in perspective. People love Jordan, hate LeBron. And people that love LeBron now seem to hate Jordan. And let me just say this as well. If you're being compared to the best, then you're considered one of the best. Now, it will always be an ongoing debate. Brady, I don't know why people talk Montana, but Montana, it will be an endless cycle of debates. But I'm a numbers guy. I look at the numbers, I look at why this person could be better. I look at why this person could possibly be a better player than the other player. And people always give LeBron James, 3-5 in the finals. He struggled. He lost 2 games in Indianapolis. He's supposed to beat his dump. Yeah, but he's on one player out of 5 guys on the court. I don't care how good you are. You're not going to win. Now let's back up to 1995. 32-year-old Michael Jordan lost in the second round of the playoffs to the Orlando Magic. A team that eventually got, I believe, beat by Houston pretty bad, right? His attempt to win his fourth title came up short. Well, Jordan got a pass. Well, he already won 3. Why would he win 4? Or why would the Bulls win 4? So they give him a pass. It's a pass. Jordan's attempt to win his fourth one was forgiven because he won 3. Why are you talking, Brian? He won 3. You want him to win 4? Well, you guys put him on this pedestal like he's God Almighty, like he, levitates above the floor with his aura around him. Whoa, I'm Jordan. Well, that doesn't work that way. He's a human being. And let's remember that Jordan took 18 months off after he won his first 3 titles. I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna go play baseball, which he was not good at. He played minor league ball. The only reason he was on that minor league team because his name was Michael Jordan. So he took that. Now, does that give him a fresh pair of legs when he comes back and being able to win another 3 championships? Who knows? LeBron hasn't took any time off. LeBron has been, during the same time span you would say that Jordan took those 18 months off, Jordan's been, in Cleveland, dragging his team along, scrapping these players together and playing above expectations and playing above, anyone else in the league and getting to the finals. Yes, it's a team. It's a team. Now, I understand there's only 5 guys and 1 player could really make the difference on a basketball team, but you still need other players. Jordan lost to the Magic in '95. He got a pass. Oh, well, it's okay. Has anyone ever, other than LeBron fans, given LeBron a pass? Have they said, well, because of this, give him an excuse. Well, because of this. No, they just keep ragging on the guy. They make fun of his hairline. They do all kinds of things. Because why? Because they don't like him. Anything they see, anything that they do, they just do not like the guy. Maybe 2015, you guys give him a pass when Kyrie Irving went down, Kevin Love went down. But they still took the Warriors to 6 games before they lost. That's still quite an accomplishment, right? So in that time span in the playoffs, or in the finals, let's say, he averaged 33.5 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, becoming the first player in NBA history to average a triple-double in the finals. Oh, well, it's a different league. This is the excuse why. If a player puts up better numbers, let's talk baseball. If I hit 25 home runs, you hit 10 home runs. Doesn't that mean that I'm a better power hitter than you? And if I do it consistently every year, if you have 400 career home runs and I hit 500 career home runs, does that make me a better power hitter than you? Oh, well, the pitching was different for you, Brian. You had, there wasn't no Don Drysdale or Sandy Koufax. There wasn't those kind of players back then, or playing now, I should say. Blah, 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 blah. Just excuses, excuses, excuses. And let me just say this. The 8 times LeBron's been in the finals, Las Vegas, the mecca of all money and gambling, the places we trust. We trust Las Vegas in the sense like, the spread's 6? Okay, well then they're favored. They're gonna win, right? We kind of trust Las Vegas when they put the odds out. The Warriors are 3-1 favorites to win the finals again. Well, there's a pretty good chance they're gonna get to the finals at least. So out of the 8 times LeBron's been to the finals, Las Vegas had him underdog 6 of the 8 times. And then I see people put posts like, well, if he beats the Warriors this year with this team, he will be the greatest. Then I also see posts saying, Well, if he loses this season, his legacy's tarnished. Absolutely insane. We keep hearing about Jordan and his 6 flawless, undefeated 6 championships. Getting to the let's see. Let me tell you this. Let me read these little notes I wrote down. Getting to the finals, is spotless and winning 6 times in a row. But we don't hear. What we don't hear is Jordan going 6 and 7 and getting to the finals. That's not a winning record of getting to the finals. Jordan and the Bulls, I should say, they went 6 and 7, 6 of 7. Yes, those 6 times, obviously, they won the finals. But those, he gets a pass for those 7. LeBron James 8 and 4, 8 and 4 in his 12 postseasons, and he's passed Michael Jordan in the all-time scoring list in postseason. So people just got to realize that you just can't. If you don't like someone, yeah, that's fine. But you gotta put it in perspective, and you gotta look at it like, look, this guy is better. I may not like this guy, but he's a better player. I'm not even a LeBron James fan. I'm just pointing out facts here. I'm just, what I've told you so far is 100% facts. None of these are lies. None of these are made up. Those are numbers: 6 and 7, 8 and 4. Losing record, winning record. Took 18 months off, came back. He lost to Orlando, trying to win his 4th title. No one said Orlando in the playoffs, of course, not in the finals. He's 6-0 in the finals, but it's just, if you don't like someone, you don't like someone. I'm okay with that. I don't like players. I don't like certain things. But I'll tell you what, you gotta keep it 100. You gotta keep it real, and you gotta say, well, I don't like LeBron James. I think he's an idiot. I think he's a flopper. I think he's a crybaby. Whatever it may be, the reason you don't like him. But you got to look at the numbers, and you got to realize that this guy is a better player than Jordan. Now, I know it's tough for you guys to hear that, but he's a better player than Jordan, but Jordan is a more accomplished player. And Jordan's symbol is tattooed in our brain. Everywhere we go, you see kids wearing it, adults wearing it. You see it's one of the most iconic symbols in the world. I believe at one time it was like number 5. It was like the face of Jesus, Elvis Presley, the cross, and then Michael Jordan's symbol and the Nike symbol. It's pretty much tattooed in our brain. That Jordan. Well, we got to remember, man, this guy was just a human being, ball player. And I'll tell you what, I've said it before. This guy was a bad teammate. Yes, he's a great player. Never get me wrong about that. Great player. I loved watching him as a kid. I remember having the first pair of Jordans, the first ones that came out, and I was like, "Oh man, look! I got the J's. I got Jordans. I'm the man." And ever since then, Jordan. I go get the new Jordans. You see people lining up in lines for you don't see people lining up in lines for the LeBrons. He started all that. He started the basketball players weren't getting the tennis shoe deals and the big contracts and all that stuff. But let's keep it real, and let's keep it 100. If you don't like a player, that's 100% fine. You have that right. I don't like players either. I don't like Westbrook. I don't like Damian Lillard. There's players I don't like. But I'll tell you what, I look at their numbers and I'm like, that guy's a good player. In baseball, I never liked Chipper Jones. I like Chipper Jones, man. I'm not a Chipper Jones fan. I just don't like Chipper Jones. But you look at his numbers. That dude's a solid ball player, Hall of Famer, first ballot, no doubt about it. LeBron is a better ball player than Michael Jordan. Jordan is a better accomplished basketball player than LeBron. LeBron's bigger, stronger. He may not be faster. He has a better jump shot. He's better on. They're pretty much, I would say, I give the defense to Jordan. But you just guys got to realize, I want someone to tweet at me at your boy Brian25, or hit me here on Facebook Live if you're watching now. I'm having trouble with my computer, so I don't know if I see it. But give me an argument. Give me the argument why you think Jordan is better than LeBron, and don't say anything about postseason. Don't say anything about championships. Give me facts other than championships. Tell me why Jordan is better than LeBron without saying 6-0 in the finals. Don't say any of that. And it'll be a very tough argument to bring up. That's that's just facts. I mean, the same thing I say about Joe Montana. People argue. I still can't believe people even put him in a top. I wouldn't even have him. I don't even have Joe Montana, and I'm from San Francisco, and a 49er fan. I don't even have him in my top 10 top quarterbacks of all time. Why is he great? Oh, he went 4-0 Super Bowl. Okay, take away that. What is Joe Montana? Average quarterback. Same thing. Not Jordan's above average, but I'm just bringing up a comparison right there. That tell me why Jordan's better. Let me know. Tweet at your boy Brian25, or hit me on Facebook or all the social medias. I'm on all of them. Tell me why you think Jordan is better without mentioning championships. It'd be a very tough discussion, let me tell you that. So the playoffs are going, the NBA playoffs are going. One game just ended. Philly won the series 4-1 against Miami. And that's I think Philly's a very strong team. I think they have a very good chance of taking down Cleveland if Cleveland gets their act together. I still think Cleveland will beat Indiana. Toronto, I thought Toronto would be a lot more dominant than they have been. Washington and John Wall have been playing really good over there. The series is tied 2-2. The Cavs are tied 2-2. I thought my early pick was Boston to win it all. Even after they lost Hayward in the first game of the season, I still had them because Kyrie just brought this vibe, this leadership, this kind of swag to Boston. And Jason Tatum's been playing he's been playing really good. For one of the rookies, he's playing really, really good. So Boston is up 3-2. They won today. But I thought that if they had Kyrie, they would definitely be the favorites, easy all the way through the East. I thought Toronto would be better. I still think they'll beat Washington. But Washington has surprised me before in the playoffs. John Wall and that crew over there sometimes pulls a rabbit out of the hat kind of trick. And, I think this East postseason playoffs in the Eastern Conference is very competitive. I think Philly is probably one of the better teams in the East. I think they'll be the team to give Cleveland or anyone in the East a good run for the playoffs, going to the finals, as I say. The West, it's going to be Houston and Golden State for the Western Conference Finals championship. Houston absolutely dominating Minnesota. The Warriors are playing right now against San Antonio at home. I believe that San Antonio won that last game because they were at home, and there was a little motivation because Popovich's wife died, rest in peace. But I just think there was a little more motivation for that. And, there's always that quote-unquote conspiracy that the Warriors want to win at home, and it's good for TV, and they want to win in front of their fans. That could have been the case this time. I'm not saying it was a give-me game, but there was a little motivation for San Antonio to win that game. But I still think Golden State will put it away tonight. New Orleans swept Portland after Damian Lillard ran his mouth talking about, I should be first team this, I should be an all-star. Damian Lillard, I used to like Damian Lillard. I thought he's a guy, he's a player from the Bay Area, so I always had his back. But he seemed to run his mouth a little much, and he doesn't really seem to back it up too much. Oh, excuse me, man. Whew. Just coffee, don't worry. I just think that he gets into his own head, and he thinks he's a great player and all that. But I just see that he doesn't seem to back it up. He's a good player. He's one of the elite players in the NBA, but he's kind of falling into that attitude that he has. Um, so I just think that Portland, I thought they would give a better fight than they did against New Orleans. New Orleans is going to be a tough team. They will play the Warriors when the Warriors win. I believe the Warriors will win. New Orleans is a slower team, but they're really big, good on defense. But they've given Warriors during problems during the season. But I just think that it's going to be New Orleans and the Warriors in that one, and I think it's going to be Houston and Utah. Utah is going to put away the Thunder. Now, I said this when Oklahoma Thunder acquired Carmelo Anthony and Paul George. I said they're not going to be any much better. They won 48 games this year. They were number 4 seed. And then did you see what happened last week or the last game? Here's what happened. Rubio had a good game. Westbrook had to get involved, running his mouth. He says to shut him down. Kind of did shut him down, but it took him out of his game. He just got fined for a little incident he had on the court on a technical. You know, they let a team like Utah, who is 19th in points during the regular season, 13th in field goal percentage in the NBA, and 11th in the NBA in three-point percent, absolute decimate them last game in the fourth quarter. At the start of the third quarter, OKC was outscored in the first, 3 minutes of the game, they were outscored 12-2. So it just, in Westbrook, man, you get in that guy's head, you get in under his skin, he loses focus. And I said this before, and I'll say it again, Westbrook is not going to win a championship no matter who you put him with, unless he's not a starter. Unless he grows up, because I just think he's a me first, team second player. Look what I could do, and then look what the team can do. He's one of the most athletic players in the league. He works very hard. You see him moving up and down the court. He's a hustler, but he's just not a winner. Just like Carmelo Anthony is over there with him, and Carmelo Anthony, he's struggling. He has the worst record in NBA history for postseason record. You know, I said it before. I'll say it again. They're just not going to win in Oklahoma. With people are starting to realize now, oh, maybe it wasn't Kevin Durant, right? It wasn't Kevin Durant. It was Westbrook. Westbrook played with Kevin Durant, probably arguably the first or second best player in the game right now. Kevin Durant, LeBron James. You can go back and forth. He played with him, got to the finals, could not win. Now, I know it's not about one player, but you had Russell Westbrook, triple-double machine, all this stuff. He played with Kevin Durant, one of the best players in the league. Got beat. Now he's playing with Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't agree with it. He puts up a lot of numbers, and he had a longevity kind of thing going on right now, but he's not. I'm just checking my time there. Sorry about that. I just think that he's just not one of those win first kind of thing. They're kind of cancerous. They're kind of Carmelo Anthony and Russell Westbrook. They have a cancer. You know, Paul George finished the game with 32. He went 9 for 21. He had a good game. That's 32. But the problem with Paul George is so inconsistent. You don't know if he's going to give you 32 one night and then he's going to give you 12 the next. He has been this inconsistency about him. He needs to buckle down and find his identity and find out what kind of player he wants to be. I believe he's already thinking about next year. Where is he going to end up? Is he going to end up in LA, back home? You know, he's definitely not going to end up he's not going to stay in Oklahoma. Even if Oklahoma wins some miracle way, he's not going to stay there. Carmelo Anthony, he struggled. He went 5 for 18, including he was 0 for 6 from the arc, beyond the three-point line. So I just see them their season coming to an end. Utah will beat them. Utah's a good team. They're another team that's big and good on defense, but they will lose to Houston because Houston, I just think the beard freak over there and the leadership and the veteranship and the smarts of Chris Paul and D'Antoni's offense over there in Houston is going to be too much, pretty much for any team that can't keep up with the pace. The only team that can keep up with the pace is Houston, are the Warriors. It's going to be a very good series. Houston went in as a number 1 seed. San Antonio Golden State, I'm getting my teams mixed up here. I apologize for that. Went in as a number 2 seed. But I still see the Warriors going back to the finals. And it's probably, my prediction is going to be Warriors of Philadelphia. Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, those guys are playing really good. They're young. They have a long time ahead of them to play some ball. So all they could do is get better. And Houston, they'll beat Utah. Warriors will beat, I believe they're playing the Pelicans. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, it's going to be Houston and Golden State in the finals because I just feel these teams are just the best teams in the West and probably the best teams in the NBA right now. I would say the Rockets Warriors series is going to be better than the finals. If Houston gets past anybody, gets past the Warriors or the Warriors get past Houston, and whoever's coming out of the East is pretty much is gonna have a tough time beating these teams. D'Antoni's offense, and let me say, I'm not a Chris Paul fan, but I'm telling you, this guy's one of the smartest players in the NBA. The guy is super smart. He has great leadership. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. And then, even though I don't like James Harden, I think he's one of those players that, he plays one side of the ball. He has zero defense. He's a great shooter, good distributor. He sees the court well. He's quick. He has handles, but I just don't see him more than a one-sided player. So I know they got other players over there, obviously, in Houston because it's a team sport, but I just see Houston falling to Golden State. Golden State's just too deep. They're too deep. And everyone knows when it comes to postseason, every player, every team turns it up a notch. And we've seen it before, and we'll see it again this year. Thank you for joining me on the OST Opinionated Sports Talk Show. Tweet at your boy Brian25. I'm trying to get the show, the Opinionated Sports Talk Show, debate, dispute, controversy on Spotify. And once I do, man, that's going to be big. We're still on iHeartRadio. I was telling a coworker today, if you want to search me up, what I have to do, go to any podcasting app, or if you have an iPhone, a little purple podcasting symbol, go ahead and hit that, and in the search, just type in the Opinionated Sports Talk Show, and you will see us. Football, the draft, man. I love the draft. I get so excited when the draft is. It's one of my favorite times. I won't get off in time to go watch the draft unless I leave early, which probably never really happens for me. But I will be paying attention to the first 10 picks. I got my phone. I already downloaded the apps. I'm gonna be on board because my 49ers have the number 9 pick. They'll probably go linebacker. I'll go through the picks in a minute because of the Reuben Foster, or I should say the Lawrence Phillips, Aldon Smith, number 2. The guy, I'll talk about that later. But I want to talk about something here. 2016, we all know what happened in 2016 with the kneeling of Colin Kaepernick. And everybody was outraged. Middle America mainly was just outraged. And they lost focus of what he was protesting. People say it's the flag, he wasn't anti-American, and they lost focus of what the reasoning was. And a lot of people don't realize, and they seem to forget, because the hate I was talking about earlier, I hate this guy, he's kneeling for the national anthem. Well, let's just put it in perspective before the dark side comes out of you and be turned into the Darth Vader here. He was protesting silently. He didn't say nothing to nobody. He was on the sideline, sitting on the bench, why the national anthem is going. 2 games he did that. Before game 3, during the preseason at that, a photographer, a reporter turned around, snapped a shot of him sitting down, and then they realized what would happen. And at the press conference, they asked him. Then he mentioned it. I want you to think about this. It was a silent protest. Nobody knew what he was doing. He was doing it for himself. He was doing it just because, to me, it was a kind of right thing to do. Then when someone knew what he was doing, it became an issue. If nobody saw that picture, the press conference didn't ask, it wouldn't have been a big thing. He should have been protesting myself. No one would have followed. But I was all for it. I think everybody should speak what they feel. Keep it 100. Don't beat around no bush. If you have something to say, just say it. Don't be one of these guys that smile in their face and stab them in the back. Don't be one of those people. And people were hating Colin Kaepernick for what he was doing, but they lost focus of what's going on. 2016 was the first time he knew when he played with the 49ers. But let's think about this. People were getting upset when they were comparing him to Muhammad Ali or Martin Luther King. All this stuff. Let's not forget, Muhammad Ali was standing up for something he believed in. He didn't even fight for this country. He decided not to fight for this country. Now, I agree with him why he didn't go, but he didn't fight for this country. No one called him anti-American. No one said, it wasn't an outrage like now. But let me say this. Colin Kaepernick will be remembered for this. He just won. He was honored by Amnesty International for Equality protest. The former NFL Colin Kaepernick, its ambassador award on Saturday for kneeling for his protest of racial injustice. Guy's winning awards. He's donating money. And him and Eric Reed, the 49er safety, were dealing. Now Eric Reed can't find a job all of a sudden. I think it's a bunch of hoopla. I think we'll remember Colin Kaepernick. Even if you're not a football player, you will hear about Colin Kaepernick in 20 years from now. I think the guy he's doing a great job. He's sticking to his guns. Seattle was supposed to go invite him up to camp a few weeks ago to look at him, but then he said he was going to continue the kneel, and all of a sudden they just seem to kind of forget about that and not, let's put it off. I think it's so unfair. I think it's a bunch of BS, but I personally don't think the national anthem should even be a part. It has nothing to do with the sports anyway. Did you know the armed forces gave the NFL, I believe it was like $5 million to start doing the national anthem during the game anyway? Just so, you know why? So they can recruit. Because it is a business. It does make money. War makes money. So that's something to think about right there too. So the draft is this Thursday. Love the NFL draft. A lot of stuff going to happen in the NFL draft. I think it's a very interesting draft. A lot of quarterbacks coming out. I'm not big on Lamar Jackson. I'm not big on Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold could use another year to develop. He's big, he's strong. But what happens with these teams the college kid quarterbacks that play on these coastal teams, UCLA, USC, they seem to get a little more flair. They have a little more excitement behind them because of the fact that they play on these coastal teams. Even though Baker Mayfield plays for Oklahoma and he's still going to get drafted. But I'm just not sold on Sam Darnold. I'm definitely not sold on Lamar Jackson. I think Jackson is a player that's going to be like, a Vince Young kind of player, unless someone works with him. He has a great arm, strong arm. He's very athletic, tall, he has great vision over the line, but I just don't see him being an elite quarterback in the NFL. 24 minutes, 24 minutes. So the Browns are in a good position. The Cleveland Browns are in a good position for this draft. They have 2 top 5 picks. They have the number 1 overall, and then they have the number 4. There's rumors that they're going to trade the number 4 pick and move back, and because the player that they're looking at for a second one will probably still be there. But I just think Hugh Jackson and the Cleveland Browns, they need to take the best players on the board. I believe that from what I've read and what I've seen on the internet and all that stuff, on sports talks and all that stuff, they're going to go with Sam Darnold at USC. I think that's a good pick. I like Josh Rosen a little more. I just think I like Josh Allen a little bit more out of Wyoming, but Rosen, like I said, the Coastal team gets a little more vision. So the Cleveland Browns are probably the number 1 pick. Has been reported, and from all I read, don't believe Mel Kiper. The guy's an idiot on ESPN. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But everyone seems to think that they're going to go with Sam Darnold out of USA. They have to pick a quarterback. I think last year's draft, you listened to one of my shows about the draft last year, I don't think DeShone Kizer was ready to go to the NFL, and he kind of proved me right. I think he needed to be developed a little bit more. He should have stayed 1 more year at UCLA and let his body and his smarts develop on the field. If he would have played 1 more year, if he would have played this year or last season and then came out the draft this year, probably would have been a higher pick and would have been a better quarterback. At the number 2 pick, the New York Giants. I believe the Giants, if they're going to stay with, if they're not building for the future or thinking about the future right now because they still have Eli, personally, I think Eli is pretty much put a fork in him, flip him over, he's done. Put him in the patty, he's done. But if New York is going to stay with Eli Manning and get a quarterback later with their later picks, I think they should definitely, and there are reports that they're going to get Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. I think this guy is probably one of the best running backs to come out of the draft in a long time. In a real long time. I mean, Leonard Fournette, stud. I'm not talking about Ezekiel Elliott because, different situation that he's in right now in Dallas. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm not saying he's not going to be a superstar. He's already proven that he's one of the elite running backs in the draft, but it's a team sport, and he's in the perfect situation. Good offensive line, offensive coordinator, a head coach is offensive minded. He came up with a good quarterback, Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott in the same situation. He had everything. He had a veteran wide receiver, veteran tight end, offensive line, good head coach too. That was a quarterback. The right situation for the right player. When a player gets drafted, they have the natural born skills. Yes, they're one of the best in college, obviously, but the NFL is a different level. You got linemen that are quicker than linebackers in the NFL. So, but I think Saquon Barkley, I would love him to come to San Francisco, but I don't think he's going to be around in the top 10 pick. At the number 3 pick is the Jets, and they are in dire needs of a quarterback. They cannot seem to get that quarterback position. Mark Sanchez, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith, they just can't seem to find that quarterback to build a team around. Cleveland is the worst at that. I believe they had 25, 30 quarterbacks since 1999. It's a crazy number like that. But I believe, from what I heard and from what I've seen in my mock draft, the Badusky mock draft here, they're going to go Josh Rosen out of UCLA. I like that pick, but I'm not sure Josh Rosen is going to succeed in that Jets environment, because they're pretty much going to throw him in the fire. They're going to be, here's your team, here's the keys, you drive. And that's not always good. There's been a very few to come out the draft that were able to handle that pressure. And when they came out the draft and they were handed the keys to the car, they had a pretty good car. Dak Prescott had a pretty good car. He had a good situation that he was stepping into. Josh Rosen, if he's handed the keys to run this offense in New York with the Jets, it's a very difficult situation he's stepping into. He doesn't have a lot of foundation over there in New York, so he'll probably see the struggle there. Number 4 is going to be the Cleveland Browns. I think the Cleveland Browns are probably going to go Fitzpatrick. I believe his first name is Minkah. I can't say his name. Minkah. Defensive back out of Alabama. I think with Myles Garrett and Fitzpatrick on that defense, you got 2 really young players that could, you have that lockdown corner possibly, or that defensive player that could get the edge rushers or their nose clog the inside. That'd be good for Cleveland. They got Carlos Hyde, who's not proven much to me. They went out and got Jarvis Landry. They still got Josh Gordon, who's back, and I think Josh Gordon is a very good wide receiver. I think if he keeps his nose cleaned, I think that guy's going to be an elite wide receiver in the NFL. It's a great story too if he does. The defense is always going to be the issue, but these are young players. Don't expect Cleveland to come out and all of a sudden make the playoffs or win 10 games. There's 8 games. These players are going to need time to develop. I think they should go offense. I think number 1 pick, obviously, get a quarterback. Second pick, on the number 4 pick overall, they should definitely go defense. Denver Broncos, they have the defense. They have what they need on defense side of the ball. They need a quarterback. They're struggling at the quarterback position. Denver Broncos are struggling at the quarterback position. And I think Josh Allen out of Wyoming is a very good pick if he's still there. Offensive line could be the pick here. They could go offensive line since they signed Case Keenum, but we don't know how long Keenum or how much left in the tank Keenan has in him. He's played good, then he played great, but very inconsistent. You don't know what you're gonna get out of him. So if they decide to go with Case Keenum and not go off and get a quarterback, which I feel they need, they'll get an offensive lineman. Drafting Allen would be kind of risque. It'll be another few years before he develops. You got Case Keenum back there running the offense right now, though. The Colts, I like the Colts at the number 6 pick. There's been rumors that they're going to trade back. But I think they need offensive linemen, and one of the best offensive linemen in the game coming out of this draft right now is out of Notre Dame, Quentin Nelson. But I still see the Colts having problems within the quarterback position. I'm not sold on Andrew Luck. I'm not sold that he's a great quarterback. I'm sorry. I just think Andrew Luck came into the good situation, good team. That division is not a tough division when he came into the league. Don't get me wrong, Andrew Luck's athletic. The guy's a Stanford graduate. The guy's smarter than heck, whatever heck is, but he's smarter than that. But I just don't think he's the right. But if the Colts don't think about their future and they do decide to go the best player on the board pick, they'll go Bradley Chubb, defensive end at an NC State. I like this young player. But I don't think it's a great move. I think Colts should go and get Quentin Nelson, guard out of Notre Dame. Those 2 picks, between them and the number 7 pick, Tampa Bay, if Quentin Nelson is available, Tampa Bay will grab him. And I think that's a good pick. They got wide receivers, they got tight ends, they got a young quarterback in Jameis Winston over there in Tampa Bay. But I think they should go defensive back Uh, they should have, there's some good defensive players coming out of the draft this year. Josh Jackson out of Ohio, cornerback would be a good pick for them. But they do need offensive linemen. You build your team from the in out, and that's just the way it is. So it will be, if Quentin Nelson is available for Tampa Bay, I believe they'll snatch him. If not, they'll go defense side of the ball, and they'll probably go a defensive back like Denzel Ward, cornerback out of Ohio State. That would be a really good pick either way. I think Tampa's in a good position. They need defense. Their offense is better, but the best offensive lineman in the draft is still available. You go ahead and snatch him. The Bears sit at number 8. That also depends on what the Colts, Tampa Bay do before them. I know they got Mitch Trubisky. I'm not sold on him yet. I think he'll be a good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback or an elite quarterback. But they'll probably snatch up Denzel Ward, the cornerback I was just speaking out of Ohio State. They need help in the defensive back situation over there in Chicago. So, I'm looking at my Facebook post here. So I just see them grabbing. I think Denzel Ward's going to be because Chicago's known for their defense. They're always known for the defense. So I see them working it out. And if Denzel Ward's available, they'll go ahead and grab. Now the San Francisco 49ers pick sits at number 9. My team, San Francisco 49er fan. I think they're going to get a linebacker. That wasn't their initial idea. But with Reuben Foster being a complete idiot, they're going to have to replace him. If I was the San Francisco 49ers, I wouldn't even... John Lynch has come out and said that if he's proven guilty, they're going to cut him. I wouldn't even wait, man. This guy's been getting in trouble. He's been injury prone his first year. You need to cut your ties early. Go ahead and get Tremaine Edwards or Raquan Smith, linebackers. Tremaine Edmonds, I should say, out of Virginia Tech is really good, but I like Raquan, is that how you say it? Smith, linebacker out of Georgia. Because if he doesn't go to that pick, if the Niners don't select Roquan Smith out of Georgia, the Raiders will get him, I believe. I think linebackers, Navarro Bowman, Khalil Mack, and one of these rookies will really help Oakland, because those are the players that are, the offense. The Raiders, we don't know how they're going to do. We're going to see how David Carr plays this year, because he struggled last year. He had a little bit of problems last year with playing. He was a comeback kid the year before. Last year didn't play so well. We'll see how he plays this year, but I still think the Raiders' problem is the defense. They need to get that defensive player. And either linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds out of Virginia Tech or Roquan Smith out of Georgia, I wouldn't be mad at either one of them coming to San Francisco. And both of them will be playing in the Bay Area, I believe. The Miami Dolphins, well, we just talked about the Raiders. They have the number 10 pick. The Miami Dolphins fall to the number 11th pick, and that's where Baker Mayfield's going to end up. I'm not 100% sure that's where he's going to... Miami. Miami's kind of tough to get a read on if they're going to go with a quarterback. With Miami, you just don't know. But they could go tackle out of Notre Dame, Mike McGlinchey. I think that would probably be a good fit for them, but they also need help on the defense side of the ball. So if the Bills, Oakland and San Francisco draft linebackers, and also depends on if the Bears get Ward, and there's a lot of iffy going on between, I would say, the 5, 6, 7 pick 8, 6, 7, 8 pick between Denver if they're going to go quarterback or they're going to go defense. Tampa Bay if they're going to go offensive lineman or if they're going to go defense. That's going to dictate what the teams behind them do. But as I see it right now, I think Miami will get Baker Mayfield. He's going to fall to the number 11. And Miami's searching for that quarterback they haven't had since Dan Marino. So, we got about 10 minutes left here. So the number 12 is the Bills, but again, it's all going to be dictated by what Denver and Indianapolis do with the 5 and 6 pick. Is Mike McGlinchey going to be there to tackle out Notre Dame, or are they going to take? Are they going to go with Baker Mayfield, or are they going to go defense, offensive line? Because there's a lot of holes to fill over there in Buffalo. The number 13 pick, I'm going to go a few more. I got a few minutes left. I got about 8 minutes. I want to talk about something else. Washington Redskins fall at the 13th pick. I believe that they're going to go defensive back. They're just going to go defensive back. The offense is pretty good. Kirk Cousins was over there for the last few years playing good. Now they got great game manager in Alex Smith over there. Derwin James, I believe is how you say it. Derwin James out of Florida State, defensive back. Washington has its quarterback probably for the next 3 years. Alex Smith will probably play solid for the next 2-3 years. So I don't think they're in a rush to get a quarterback. If the Redskins take Derwin James, defensive back out of Florida State, who has a 95% defensive rating analytics that they do in college, that's going to be a very good pick for them. I like that pick. But like I said, it's all going to be dictated by Denver and Indianapolis. There's been rumors that Indianapolis is going to trade back. There's been rumors that the 49ers are going to trade back because they only have so many picks this year. They're going to trade back 4 more picks. And it's going to be very interesting where... I think I had enough on the draft right there. Yeah. I'm not going to go through every team on the draft there. I wrote down them. I typed up a little. See, that's what I do. Do my homework. I study, and I'll sit on the computer and I'll type it all up. You see that? So I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I know the draft is this Thursday. I'm excited. I got about 6 minutes left. I just want to go over, talk about a few other things. I mentioned Reuben Foster, and I called him Aldon Smith number 2, Lawrence Phillips, who was a disgrace to the NFL and himself. I just don't get these kids, these young athletes who are blessed with this gift to play football. We just can't, and not anybody can just go play football. You just can't go play basketball. You just can't go play baseball. You can't just go play soccer. You gotta have a natural born gift. And these guys had it. Reuben Foster, man, when the 49ers drafted him, I was like, that was a steal. Out of Alabama, this dude is a stud. And we had Solomon Thomas. I was like, wow. DeForest Buckner year before that. I was like, this is a good front seven the 49ers have. But then came the injuries. Then came the arrest. He's facing up to 11 years. 11 years if he gets 3 felony charges of domestic violence. Reuben Foster. Like I said, John Lynch has come out and said, if he's proven guilty, I will cut him. I say cut him now. I say you just cut ties. You still have the number 9 pick this year. Not every draft pick is you know, is your bread and butter. So you just go ahead, you cut your loss with them, you cut your ties, and you move on. I just don't understand these young kids nowadays coming out with all this talent. God gave them this natural born ability to play a sport, to play a game and make millions off it. And you go and beat women, get DUIs, carry guns, pop off at the police officers, highway patrolmen, state troopers. Where's Alden Smith at now? Let me tell you a story. I got about, how much time I got left? I got about 4 minutes. I used to work at a place, I'm not gonna say its name, but it was a private place, a private club, I should say. It was A-listers came in. Jennifer Aniston was there. The Governor Brown was there. We had who else we had there? Gerard Butler, Tyra Banks. You know, Sheryl Crow, Snoop Dogg, The Roots. They all came through there and stayed there. It had two restaurants, 4 bars, a penthouse. You know, real high end stuff. And Alden Smith was there. This is after he got busted for DUI. And we signed a waiver that we're not supposed to ask for autographs, take pictures. We signed our right working there to give this away. So I'm sitting in the elevator with Alden Smith. Long story short here, I only got a few minutes. And me being a 49er fan and Alden Smith playing at a high level at that time, I was like, I've been in the elevator with the Governor. I've been in the elevator with Tyra Banks. I've been in the elevator at this time with many other stars that came through there. But I'm not a starstruck person. You know, I just don't get awe. Unless it's a sports figure, I'm like, that dude has some skills. Pay the bills. I dig it. So I'm sitting in the elevator with Alden Smith. Now let me tell you this. I worked for the maintenance side. I was an engineer. And I was told by a friend of mine that worked for this company, said, you know, Alden Smith changes his room every night. He stayed 3 or 4 nights. And every night he had our team, our staff, move his stuff to a different room. And he told me that. I was like, well, whatever. He wants to change it, let him change it. That's fine. But I was told that this guy had, in 3 nights, 25 bottles of red wine. That's just in the room. That's not his tab that he was running at the bars that we had in the place. And when they were changing his rooms, he was leaving $56,000 of cash just laying around and in jewelry. And no one said, he was like, yeah. You know what he told the staff? And I said something in the elevator that could have got me fired. I was like, aren't you worried about if Harbaugh finds out? I'm Alden Smith. They ain't gonna do nothing to me. Well, look at you now, kid. Look at you now. Thank you guys for joining me on the OST. Find us on iHeart, iTunes, the Opinionated Sports Talk Show. Tweet at me at your boy Brian. I'll be back on my weekly episode. Debate, dispute, controversy, every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you all the sports groups that allow me to do my show in your group. I'm sorry I didn't get to their names. There's just too many of them. I thank you guys. And I'll see you guys next week. The OST, debate, dispute, where's the thing? Controversy.